Hello, guys. Hey, y'all. Today I'm diving into a pretty unique topic. Why do Japanese people support Trump? As a Japanese person, I can tell you that Japan has a real interest in American politics. Well, some people even joke that Japan is the 51st state of America. Our economy depends a lot on the US, and we have American military bases all over the country. So, what happens in the US affects us a lot. Also, we are just curious. Personally, I love hearing about people's political opinions, and I think it's interesting how in the US, most media and college professors tend to support Kamala, but in Japan, I personally know professors who actually support Trump. So I'm here to share why Japanese people tend to like Trump. Just a quick note, this video isn't about my personal opinion on Trump or Kamala. I'm just sharing what I've learned from talking with friends, political science professors, and history teachers, and political YouTubers. And of course, this does not apply to all Japanese people. This is based on what I have noticed. So let's get into it. To start, let's look at why many Japanese people don't hate Trump. In many countries, Trump is hated. Like Europeans hate Trump. A lot of Austrians and British don't like Trump for good reason, I think. He's known for using phrases like shithole countries, which is very insulting and offensive. He also exaggerates a lot. He makes it sound like all illegal immigrants are criminals, and this gives people the impression that he's narcissist who's very close-minded. But here's the thing: when Trump's words translate into Japanese, they don't sound as extreme. I have three Japanese friends who hate Trump, and they all speak English. So maybe if more people understood his exact words and tone, they might have felt differently about him. This language thing could be a reason why Japanese people see him differently. Now, let's talk about some Trump's policies that actually align with Japanese viewpoints. One of the most debated topics is immigration. In this election, especially, Trump's and Kamala's immigration policies are exactly the opposite. They are very polarized. Trump supports a zero tolerance policy, meaning that he thinks all illegal immigrants should be sent back to their countries. He argues that illegal immigration brings crime, takes away American jobs, and it's unfair to those who come legally. Kamala, on the other hand, has more of an open border approach. She believes that as a country of immigrants, America should welcome everyone. Her supporters often say, nobody is illegal on stolen land, referring to how the US was built by settlers who displaced Native Americans. And for Japanese people, this stolen land concept doesn't resonate the same way. Also, Japan is an island nation, so our immigration system and history are different. So the idea of open borders seems strange to many people here. And also, a lot of Japanese people, and including a lot of Trump supporters, don't understand that a lot of people come to US illegally are escaping to the US because they don't feel safe back home, because they're threatened. I realized this after traveling to Latin America. Human trafficking and death threats are very common, and then police don't do anything about it. So they have no other choice than escaping to the United States. So a lot of people immigrated for that reason, and also a lot of people were brought into the country when they were children. So Trump's zero tolerance policy affects those people who have already proven that they are no threats, and then they can contribute to the society. But I do understand that open border can be very dangerous because there will most likely be more human traffickings and burden for law enforcement and change the economy. It might be profitable to the companies since they can get cheap labor, but not to the working class. And when she was asked how many people have entered America illegally while she was in office, she could not answer. But the point is, Japanese people only focus on those issues, that dangerous part, and then they don't consider much about people who are actually escaping from the death threats or violence. So it might be difficult for Japanese people to fully understand why Kamala's approach is popular in the US. Because here in Japan, we don't have those people. Another thing that many Japanese people appreciate about Trump is his anti-war stance. Japan is a very anti-war country. Trump directly told George Bush's brother that the Iraq war was a mistake. He also talks about reducing military spending. And for us in Japan, this resonates a lot, especially when we see Kamala and Biden supporting huge budgets for military aid, like sending $18 billion to Israel. Also, many Japanese people believe that war is mostly about business. And even back in 2016, Trump said he wanted to avoid wars. That was actually very appreciated even back then. Even though it's worth mentioning that he didn't actually end the war in Afghanistan, but his overall attitude of avoiding conflict aligns with Japan's anti-war values. Look, actually, we're doing the news. Actually, they just started talking about Liz Cheney. Here in Japan, like people like Dick Cheney, Liz Cheney are known for like warmongers here because they're the one who are arguing for the invasion of Iraq. And it's worth noting that they are endorsing Kamala Harris. They used to be Republicans, but now they switched to Democrats and they endorse Kamala Harris. So now here Kamala looks like she's the pro-war. Okay, so here's something really interesting. Some Japanese left-wing policies actually match with America's right-wing policies. For example, Trump is very much against the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership. That Trans-Pacific Partnership would allow cheap imports from other countries, which benefits big companies but can hurt local industries. This agreement was signed by Obama, but a couple years later, Trump withdrew from it. So here in Japan, our far left-wing parties also oppose the TPP. Like I'm talking about Bernie Sanders' level of far left. Like the party that argues for no tax on foods and groceries, free education, free Medicare, double the minimum wage, giving voting rights to foreign residents, they're the ones that are against it. So they argue that importing cheaper goods and foods would hurt Japan's agricultural industries, and they want to protect our food supply. This actually aligns with America First approach, where he wants to protect American industries from foreign competitions. If they were to import food or other stuff from other countries, they should put tariffs so that the locals don't have to compete with foreign companies. It's funny because in the US, Democrats used to be the party of working class. But today, 80% of the wealthiest people in the US, like CEOs of big companies, tend to vote for Democrats. And farmers and other workers, on the other hand, are more likely to vote for Republicans. In Japan, it's the opposite. Farmers and fishermen usually support left-wing parties that oppose TPP to protect their jobs and industries. And this is why traditional Democrats like Tulsi Gabbard switched to Republican. There are some American issues that Japanese people don't really understand. I think what's interesting about American Republicans is that their stance align with Christian values. For example, the Republican stance on LGBTQ rights and abortion is often based on Christianity. But Japan isn't a Christian country, so these issues aren't that like important here. They're important topics, but they're more like personal opinions, and then they're very separate from political debates. We don't talk about these issues in politics. So here in Japan, abortion is legal and gay marriage isn't recognized. But I think most people don't have strong feelings about these topics. At least, like I can guarantee, those are not the reason why people would decide which political party you're voting for. And I think it's really interesting that these issues are so important in American politics, but here in Japan, they don't hold the same weight. And another big difference is around gun rights. Japan has a very strict gun policy. If you want to own a gun, you have to go through a lot of paperwork and background checks. And for most people, it's the way it should be, and nobody's arguing for it. So it's hard for us to understand why Americans feel so strongly about gun ownership. Thinks that Japanese people agree with Kamala. There are some areas where Japanese people probably agree more with Kamala's policies. For example, on social welfare and taxes, Japan has a strong social welfare and system. Japan is a big government country compared to many countries in the world. Maybe not to the level of Sweden or Norway, but certainly more leaning towards big governments. So if you're unemployed, you can receive financial support, and we have good medical welfare. Many of us don't mind paying taxes as long as it goes to things like education, law enforcement, Medicare system, or people who really actually need it. And this is similar to what Kamala supports, and it's an area where Japanese people are generally in agreement with her approach. So yeah, here they are. I hope this video gave you some insights into how Japanese people see Kamala and Trump. And thanks so much for watching. If you have a disagreement or question, please write down in the comments. I'm also here to learn, and I love discussing this topic. Bye bye.